Welcome back to the Your Invisible Advantage podcast. It's me, T. I'm your host, and this podcast is where we talk all things that create influence, authority, and money in your life. So if you are an entrepreneur, create a business, anyone who is out there building a personal brand and monetizing, this podcast is for you. And today we're actually talking about monetization, monetizing your audience and how creators build real business growth. And I really want to, talk about not necessarily going into launching harder or selling more aggressively. I want to talk about how we build a sustainable output that we can actually grow over time instead of trying to scale the quickest we possibly can. It's like, how can we actually scale the smartest we possibly can and the simplest we can? So what usually happens for people for creative businesses, right? Whether you're a coach, CEO, service provider, you're anything that is like digital products, anything anything that's like a service-based business online, whether you're in the education space, digital products, coaching, etc., agencies, any of that kind of jazz, most people are posting consistently. Their content will get likes, it'll get saves, it'll get DMs. People are like, oh my gosh, I love your stuff. I love everything you do. But when it comes time to sell, it's almost like you feel awkward selling, or you second guess your pricing, or you go, oh, but I just need more followers, or maybe my story views aren't as high as I want. But what we actually want to look at there is this is where monetization comes in, where people think they need more followers and they're like, let's just chuck money on ads. Let's do lots of top of funnel growth content that will just make me go viral and get lots of followers. While that, new followers is always great, we always welcome that in, you have to make sure you're building a room full of buyers and a room full of people who actually want to be influenced with the work that you have, not just people who are going to eventually dead your audience because they didn't follow you for the right reasons. So most creators don't actually have visibility problems. Some of them they do, but most actually have monetization relationship problems. So I'm going to address the first thing, which is ads that I spoke about. And I want to be very clear. I do like ads. I think ads are amazing. I wish I was running ads myself, but it's not my genius and it's not something that I'm putting effort into right now. Who knows, in the future I might, but ads work. Paid traffic works if you know how to run ads. It is a full-time job in itself. So, you can try to learn for yourself, but it's probably best to get someone who actually understands it. But I'm not anti-ads at all. But what I see is creators using ads to kind of like prop their business up, but their business never had a strong foundation. So it's just like kind of floating on this really dodgy scaffolding that was never really built to scale. And instead of that, they're buying attention, but instead of building authority, right? The only way they can get, I guess, like a path to money is like paying for more views, paying for the algorithm to favor them, or paying for like, let's get a spike in my reach this month. But you're always on borrowed ground when you're doing it that way from the get-go. It's not to say never do it. It's saying you then have to keep paying to play. So a lot of people in their first 1 to 5 years think that it's going to solve all of their problems. And I'm like, okay, but organic trust and direct monetization, being able to do that without having to pay to play, will be a really great place to build a steady foundation for most creators, right? Because you then own it, you then have control over it. Now, of course, eventually you want to look into different avenues, and that's totally fine. But what we want to look at is like the people you currently have. It's not necessarily that you need more people, which brings me to the part 2, which is you want to turn the eyeballs you already have into buyers. So most people will ask themselves, how do I grow my audience? But what we need to start asking is, how do I build buyers? How do I actually build an audience full of buyers? An audience that, is just built of followers they consume, but they're not going to buy anything from you. Or they buy once and then off they go buying the next cheapest thing they can find. What we want is a room full of buyers. Buyers commit. Buyers know the expectation. Buyers want to be led. Buyers want the solution. Buyers are actively seeking for their problems to be solved, right? This isn't about manipulating people. It's about taking responsibility that if people are already taking value from you, education, clarity, confidence, decisions, whatever, free value they're getting from your page, not giving them a way to pay you from that, it's not you being virtuous or humble or I'm just this good girl, right? It's you not having the influence that you say you want. And you're not allowing people to have the transformation that they actually could get with your work, which would go on and change their life, which would go on and change your life, right? And this is why most creators stay stuck psychologically, is because they have this belief in their head of, oh, but I've already sold to these people, they won't buy again. Or, I just don't have buyers in my audience. It's my algorithm. I need more followers. Insert limitation here. They want to be liked. They just want to look popular. They want to be, quote, respected, but they're afraid of selling because they think that selling will change the relationship with people and it will make people see them differently, right? But it won't unless the relationship was shallow to begin with. All right. So if we look at what actually converts, there are a few things that we need in order to monetize. Number one is clear positioning. Number two is a simple path for them to buy. Number three is we need to consistently be putting out invitations. And then obviously we need to be working on delivery, getting better client results, etc. So if we look at number one, clear positioning, creators who can monetize very cleanly and effortlessly, no matter their audience size, 100, 1,000, 100,000, 1 million. And most likely people who have the most amount of followers actually struggle the most to monetize. People with lower amount of followers normally have a better engaged audience and a better audience of buyers. So people who have lots of followers, just because they're getting lots of comments, lots of likes, lots of, yeah, girl, slay, don't mistake that for their business being successful. The amount of people that come to work with me who have 50K followers, 20K followers, 100K followers, and they say to me, I barely make fucking 2K a month. And I'm like, yeah, that's because you didn't build buyers. You built besties, okay? That's not what we want. So we want to turn the eyeballs into, hey, I want to pay you. All right, so that comes with clear positioning. When you have clear positioning, people know what you help with and what you don't. It's very clear why you're the person. They don't need to do this mental gymnastics. So you don't need to convince them. They're already looking for the solution. They see you are positioned as the one that is going to solve that solution. Your brand DNA is clear as day. That's why my brand DNA program is my core product, because that is the thing that most people are missing, is that positioning in the market. You need to know what your brand is for. I am for X type of person. I am not for X type of person. This is the commitment and philosophy in my world that if you enter, you're agreeing to. It's like my commandments. This is my law, why I started, why I'm here, why I'm doing this work, why I care. These are the standards that I expect when you're in my world and a client of mine. This is who we're all becoming. This is who we're working towards as a collective. And this is the solution and vessel that we want to solve X problem with. This is how you want to feel for the stage of life you're in, right? You get your positioning right, bingo bango, everything else will kind of fall in place from there, as long as you have a good offer and are good at what you do, which I'm assuming you are, right? So the next thing is a simple value path for people to pay you. Your sales system is so important. And this is where I see most people it's either they have sales systems in place, but they're clunky and broken and like just missing so much value. Like they don't know where the bottleneck is in it, and they're thinking their problem is leads, but really it's a sales system problem, and they don't know how to diagnose where their bottleneck is because they don't know how to look at the data and objectively look at it without making it, I'm a piece of shit, no one's buying from me, or, people always get in my DMs and then they never go any further, or people always book a call and then they ghost me, or, people say they want the link and then they never buy, or people come in and they do 2 weeks and then they ghost, or like they're a great client for 3 months and then they just fall off the face of the earth and go hire someone else. It's like always these things, and it's about knowing where in the sales system things are falling off, which is what you have to learn to be able to read and diagnose. So what we want to have is like one clear next step for people. If it's not clear when I land on your page, what's that clear next step? Not 5, not 10, not 29 different offers, not all this chaos. Should I DM her? Am I clicking the link in her bio? Do I listen to her podcast? Like, it should be super fucking clear how someone pays you. Clear pathways to be paid. Front-end pathways, back-end pathways, vertical funnel. When you get further along, you can start looking at horizontal funnel, things like that. But it is just clear. Have one clear pathway for people to pay you, and then different touch points at how they can get into that, right? Different touch points of how they can pay you. Then we've got the buyer signal, which is like giving the invitation. People think that they're annoying if they sell too much, or, if they send emails that are like sales emails. Guys, people signed up to your emails to receive sales emails from you. That's why they're there. Why else would you sign up for an email, right? Like, the whole point is so you can buy from people. And it's like, people are watching your stories because they love you. They want to see what you're doing, and they love to be sold to. It doesn't mean you have to sell every single day. There's ways that you can, as I said, you work on your sales system so that, like, you're not necessarily having to. Like me, for example, I'm working on my podcast as a sales channel for me, where I'm going overseas in April. So I don't know if this is out before or after, but I'm going overseas and I'm going away for 10 weeks. So for me, I want my podcast to be a stream where people can be listening to this and they can be like, oh, I like Tayla's brain. Shit, I need brain DNA. Oh, I want to join Upgrade as the accelerator. Or maybe I want a one-off call with her. Or maybe like I'm going to ask her about what her private rates are, right? And maybe I want to sprint with her, whatever. And they're going to be listening to this, you're listening to this, and maybe you're like, what's my next step to work with Tayla? Well, guess what? It's going to be very clear in the show notes exactly how to work with me. And I'm also going to give a CTA at the end of this so that you can work with me. And I'll give you a CTA now. If you want to work with me, head to the description and figure out how you can work with me. It is very plain and simple. Based on what you need, I make it clear how someone can work with me. So it's never a guessing game. It's always like, you know that I'm the authority, I'm confident, I'm calm. You have X bottleneck, this is where you go. You need this, this is what I help you with. I'm not afraid to sell to you. I talk about money, I talk about decisions, I talk about the standards in my world, I talk about the outcomes we're gonna get, right? And it's not aggressive. None of you feel like, ask yourself, do you ever feel like it's sleazy when I sell? No. Right? Because it's all the energy of the person doing it. So authority is an internal game that we want to be giving that authority signal to our buyers all the time. Even in my human moments where I make little jokes and this, that, the other, I'm still seen as an authority, right? So authority is something that we learn this in Brand DNA and also Paid to Be Her and Upgraded. But authority is something that it can't be artificially implanted. It's already there. We need to learn how to extract it. Right? Therefore, you stop, softening your prices, or you stop jumping to conclusions when someone's in a sales conversation with you. And how many of you jump ahead and assume, oh, they can't afford it, they can't buy it, they're going to have this excuse, XYZ. You're jumping ahead to conclusions. That's not a very solid person, right? When you're learning things like this, you need to be so solid in yourself of like, this person is listening to this podcast because they love my work and want to buy from me. I assume every single person listening to this at some stage is going to buy from me. And if not, you're going to use my free information and get insane results, and then you're going to come buy from me because I got you results, right? And I assume that. I assume the best of my people. I assume when someone DMs me wanting information, they're going to buy. I assume if they haven't replied to my, I've sent them the link, I'm not sitting there thinking that a great example, I sent someone a link the other day and it was for a VIP day. They hadn't clicked it and it was like 4 days. I wasn't sitting there like, oh my God, she's not going to sign up, this, that, the other. I'm like, I trust that she's going to sign up. Maybe she got busy, maybe this, that, the other. And maybe she's just waiting for the right time to put it through. And I trust she's still signing up. I don't need to freak out about that. And then like 2 hours later or something, she signed up. Right? Because I was like, oh, that's interesting. She hasn't paid it yet. I literally forgot all about it. And it was like a few days later. And then I thought about it. And then like a few hours later, she paid. And she was like, oh, paid. Sorry, got distracted with XYZ. My kids were doing. And I'm like, oh, yeah, cool. Of course. Right? So where are you assuming the worst of your audience? So if you want an audience of buyers, actually assume they're an audience of buyers. Assume they want what you have. Not that they can't afford it. Not that they're broke. Not that they're shitty clients. Like, not that the people watching won't buy from you. The amount of times I've heard people say, oh, but I've only got 300 people viewing my stories. Like, it's not enough. And I'm like, 300 people? You need 2 people to pay you 10K and you would make 20K. What do you mean? You need 1 person to pay you 15K. You need 1 person to pay you 5K. 1 or 2 people to pay you 3K, whatever. It's like, what do you mean? Why are you assuming these people don't have money? It's none of our business. right? Even I hear all the time people are like, oh, but that person's not full-time in their business, or like that person's not paying for business support. Maybe it's health and fitness or this, that, the other. They don't have the money. And I'm like, why are you assuming you know their finances? Stop it. You're like preempting failure because you don't want to put yourself out there and feel rejected. That's all it is. So you reject yourself before they reject you. So you soften your prices. Maybe you're talking to someone in the DMs and you start going into, oh, if it's too expensive, like I can give a discount. Don't. Why are you doing that? Right? We need to signal to buyers that we fucking believe in our work. Someone who is constantly discounting, constantly like hedging with our language of like, maybe, are you sure you're ready? Like, I don't know if you'll get a result. No, be like, if you fucking follow this is what's going to happen in my world. And I'm so excited for you to come in because I know this is going to help you. Be confident, be the authority, right? This is where so many people go wrong when it comes to their work and sales, is they're constantly disqualifying themselves and disqualifying their buyers, and they're disempowering them. People want to pay. People love to pay. So watch where you are actively going into that. Monetization comes down to you selling to people. Selling is service. Service is selling. Selling is service. Service is selling. Let's repeat that. Let's make that a mantra, right? Assume the best out of your people. Assume they want to pay you. They have questions? Great. Answer their questions. They might have an objection? Great. You can either pre-handle that in your messaging and think about anything they might have, but also don't assume that they're not going to buy. Assume they want to buy. And the pre-handling is like anything that could get in their way. So it might be a fear, a limiting belief, a time restraint, this, that, the other. You can handle that in your messaging and assume that they just need that one little sentence and, oh, yep, good. Like assuming that they are a good buyer, assuming that they want to buy, right? Assuming you have an audience of buyers, because there's two types of people. There's creators and there's consumers. Consumers want to buy. Creators are the people who are actually selling things. Okay? So they want to buy. So remember that. We need to be giving that signal to people that we know they want to buy. If I'm constantly hedging for their limitations, of course I'm not making sales. Of course I get people ghosting me. Of course people have all these reasons why they wouldn't buy. But I'm like, no, like even when a client resigns, I had a private client wanting to re-sign with me. An old version of me would have been like, I don't know if I should offer her this next container. I don't know what she got out of this. Like, did she really get what she wanted? Oh my God, XYZ, this, that, the other. And I was like, actually, no, why am I assuming her journey? And I messaged her and I was like, hey, I actually would love to continue working with you. I think we should work on XYZ because I know that's what you wanted to work on, blah, blah, blah. Here's what I'm proposing. This is the package. Would love to chat about it if you want to take that further and continue on. She was like, yep, sign me up. Send me the link, I'll pay it straight away. And I was like, when we start to assume the best in our people, the best will fucking happen, right? Stop assuming that they're disempowered little broken birds. People want what you have. People want to pay. People have so much money in this world, right? And obviously, if someone doesn't have the money, they're just not going to be the person you sell to. Don't try to take money out of people's pockets who don't want to give you their money. All right? Now, then we go into diversification of income. So when we're talking about monetizing our audience, we want to do it without overcomplicating. So most people hear when people are talking about like multiple income streams and this, that, the other, they immediately add 10 different things to their plate before even nailing one or before having one working smoothly, right? That is not diversification. That is literally avoidance of doing anything to 100%, and it's getting shiny object syndrome. If you know my 7 deadly sins framework of the 7 deadly mindset sins that, or like identity sins that come in for entrepreneurs at that higher level, this is gluttony. This is my framework for gluttony. You have your hands in too many pies, right? You got shiny object, it's gluttony and lust. Gluttony is like overconsumption. Lust is more so like, ooh, shiny object, right? And you think, oh my God, that person has what I want. And it's like, you think the grass is greener on the other side. So it's a bit of both. It's a bit of gluttony and it's a bit of lust. So what we actually want to do is look at real diversification. It comes from one core offer, right? One audience, and then multiple ways to get the same thing. So it's about then building multiple channels, multiple touch points. Like me, I've got my social media, I've got my Instagram, I've got my threads, I've got my TikTok, I've got this, my podcast, I've got my YouTube now, which like I didn't have before, but like now I have it, right? I have my Substack, multiple different ways that people can find me. I have my free channel in Telegram, right? So there's different ways that people can find me for the same value, and that's diversifying my omnipresence. So it's not always about, more offers. It's like, how do we get more eyes on the one thing we already do have and then grow that? And you can have different freebies that lead into it, different series that lead into it, all that, like that all works, right? You can have multiple ways to get the same thing. So maybe Brand DNA is a program, and then maybe I also offer a Brand DNA intensive where I do it one-to-one with you, right? Which, like, if you want that, let me know and I'll do it with you. But it's like, that can be the same thing, but I'm just having different touch points based on where my client is at in their journey, right? So it's not necessarily more work. I'm having more leverage of what I already have working for me. And then when that's working, then we can look at building the second one, right? So it's like people try to focus on 10 things instead of just getting one and having all. It's like, see it like an octopus. You want to have all these different ways that we can get to this one core. And then you have upsells and downsells, and like you can have all of that. And then we start to automate things, right? It doesn't replace you, but it helps you run that smoother. Whether you have a team member, whether you're doing it yourself, you will need to have some type of like, what are those tasks that you're doing all the time? How do we get that into a system for you? Okay. Then we have number 5, step 5, which is the buyer identity shift. So at some point, you have to let your audience see you as someone. This is what I was talking about before about the authority piece. You have to be someone who charges people. Like, stop trying to hide your pricing. Stop trying to hide the fact that you make money. Okay? You have to be someone who learns to receive, right? Without overextending, overgiving, etc. You have to be someone who decides. In business, you need to make clear-cut decisions and be someone who is seen as yes this, no that, right? You need to be someone who can lead other people. You don't need to be above or better than, but you do need to be ahead of someone for them to want to be led by you. Okay, that's how leading works. We're leading the pack, all right? You're not above, you're ahead. Think of it differently. And this is where we're not like being arrogant or this, that, the other. We're actually becoming a creator who is no longer blocked with the strategy. It's very easy to get blocked there because our internal identity as the creator, the entrepreneur, the business owner has not caught up. And that's what we need to do. We need our identity to catch up with how good we actually are, how much money we actually want to make, and the impact we want to make, right? So instead of being like the bestie or the I'm just doing this for fun, it's like, no, you are here to lead, you are here to make a shitload of money, and you are here to have more opportunities fall into your lap so that you can make a life on your own terms by doing work that you love. That's why we're all here, right? You become more valuable to people through your personal brand and business than their money, and you will make endless amounts of money. Listen to that again. When you become more valuable to people than their money, you will make a fuck ton of money. So what I really want you to sit with today is, do you actually need more followers? Which might be the case, right? But if people already trusted you, if people already wanted to buy and monetization was the next logical step, and you didn't necessarily need more traffic, right? Or you can do that, but like, let's play with it. And if you needed allowance between what you say you want and who you say you want to be, and you need to actually not overhaul and throw your whole business out and start from scratch, if it's like, what is one way I can invite someone to pay me today without all this internal friction, without apologizing, without over-explaining, etc. Start there. Track what happens. I teach my clients how to have these sales conversations in a way that it's like it's not a framework, sorry. It is a way to have a conversation with a human so that you are feeling fully like you're fucking leading that conversation, and you know you'll be good whether the sale happens or not, but you know that that person internally, I believe that they want to pay me. I believe that I have work that can endlessly help their life. and I'm going to show up in my content, in my sales, in my business, like I believe that to be true. Okay, so if this episode made you think differently about your content, your audience, your offers, this is the work that I do inside Upgraded Academy. So as I said, I'm going to sell to you. So this is my 12-month accelerator. This is for business owners, creators, building and monetizing their genius online. We have service consultants, we have coaching businesses, we have leaders, CEOs, digital product businesses, service-based businesses, influencer-led businesses, and this is where people really come when they want to upgrade their internal and external operating systems and leadership to scale with simplicity and without more overwhelm. Okay, whatever your version of success looks like to you, I get to know you, I get to know your business, I get to know your brand, and we come up with a game plan strategically designed for your psychology and your purpose. So we have relentless standards, we get immense clarity, we dial in on your brand DNA positioning and authority, and we make you into that person who actually is not letting their business run them, you run it. So if you want that, you'll find a way to join in the show notes. You can have a conversation with me in the DMs if you are unsure. And that is it for today, guys. I hope that this has given you more insight into monetizing and that you don't necessarily need to throw more money at ads, or you don't necessarily need to, have more followers. While those things are great, it's like, look at where you actually are bleeding money already with what you already have before you try to add more. All right, guys, share this, like this, give me a rating, subscribe. It really does mean a lot. They give you certain incentives when you reach like certain amounts of people on these platforms that are listening to your podcast. So every single one of you that subscribes, that follows, that shares, like it truly means a lot to all of us who have, that are pouring our time and effort into these resources for you. So me or any other podcast you listen to, please make sure you're doing that for them. I love you guys. Have an amazing day wherever you are in the world. Bye.